So if you've been on the internet at all for the past few weeks, you could probably tell that the internet is absolutely flaming this guy for, let's just say, some questionable decisions. But I come bearing good news. Or bad news, depending on how you feel about KSI. He's not actually out of the spotlight just yet because I recently discovered that he's also an actor. Let's chat. Now, I'm assuming you already know KSI or JJ because, hey, you clicked on this video, but for those of you who don't know, I'm just gonna sum him up really briefly. He is this big YouTube entrepreneur guy with an even bigger forehead. That was a low blow. But hey, you know, I kind of feel for him. I got a big forehead too. I'm just gonna cover this up now. You see, he's got his bandana, I got my hair, okay? JJ is a man of many talents, as mentioned in his infamous song.
From the screen to the ring to the pen to the key.
Yep, you know the one. But I've also recently discovered that he's also had a stint as an actor. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be asking the big question on everyone's mind. If this whole YouTube thing doesn't work out for KSI, does he have a future in Hollywood? So, to find out, I've decided to watch the 2016 KSI classic, Late in America. And oh boy, this movie is a movie. Now, this movie is insanely hard to find, especially considering my current location and the fact that it's not really on very many streaming services. And I kind of get it. If I was in this movie, I'd want it to be buried so deep in the internet that it will never see the light of day again. So, to make my trouble worth it, please don't forget to like and subscribe and do all that good stuff because that really helps the channel out. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into the movie. So, Late in America, starring YouTube celeb in his own right, Casper Lee, alongside KSI, is a raunchy comedy, which is a super bad clone, but make it actually super bad. See what I did there?
Comedy.
Late in America follows our two main characters, Duncan and Jack, who are foreign exchange students on their last day in the US. But oh no, there's one big problem. Yep, you guessed it, they're virgins.
Oh no!
Oh, that's so bad. So our two main characters have to do everything they can in order to get laid because, hey, if you can't get laid in America, you can't get laid anywhere. And yes, that is a direct quote from the movie. Words cannot describe how painfully bad parts of this movie is, and I think this first scene sums up the entire movie pretty well, where this happens. Yeah, so this scene is incredibly cringy and super uncomfy to watch, much like the rest of the movie. Moving on. So this is where characters run into problems. Duncan and Jack's big plan is to get invited to obnoxious Giga Chad Tucker's party in order to get laid. At this party, Jack will try to get with his longtime crush Kaylee, and Duncan will try to get with literally anyone but this chick. There's a catch. In order for the pair to get into the party, they have to bring two hot girls with them. Ooh, drama. Oh no, how are two nerds supposed to get, oh, I can't believe two nerds are supposed to be friends with two hot girls, oh. Just stupid, dude, so stupid. There's also this seedy principal that talks about their sex life while they're in the principal's office and kind of ends up, inappropriately touching one of them later on in the movie. Yeah, this movie gets really weird. So, what are two perfectly sane teenagers meant to do in this situation? Well, they end up going on a dating app pretending to be super rich only to be super kidnapped by none other than Bobby Lee and his girlfriend. Bro is really punching. And this is where the film really loses me, as if the blow-up doll threesome wasn't enough. The jokes are just painfully bad, and the pacing of the jokes, and the pacing of the whole movie just sucks. You know, I find these jokes funny if I was like 12, but now that my brain is somewhat fully developed, it's a different story. So this movie relies on this like raunchy style of comedy that even in 2016 was grossly overplayed and stale and just boring. Not to mention the crazy overacting in a lot of scenes makes them unbearable. So after a series of events involving a painfully unfunny dinner scene with the kidnappers, Bobby Lee not knowing how to use an ATM, a robbery, and oh yeah, of course,
Violence against women.
boys manage to escape, only to find themselves in this P. Diddy-esque cult sex party thing. So how on earth did they manage to find themselves at a sex party, you might ask? Well, they gave a random hobo a ride, of course. Makes sense. Okay. credit where credit's due. This next part of the movie contains probably one of the only scenes where I let out a slight chuckle, and that was this weird scene. Now, the boys, of course, treat this as an opportunity to finally get laid, but nothing really goes to plan because the cops bust through the door and start arresting people left, right, and center, leaving Duncan and Jack without their clothes, but still with their virginities. But hey, at least it's not all bad. They got a Segway now, which they use to get to Tucker's party, finally. Well, one of them uses. We see in these kind of comedies, there's always a obligatory scene where the two main characters have a bit of a falling out, so eventually only Duncan ends up segueing to the party, so, you know. They both make it to the party. Duncan bribes his way in, and Jack does the sensible thing and murders a cat.
Comedy.
Now we're finally at the party, and it's finally time for Jack to get with his crush, Kaylee. But oh no, wait! Bobby Lee called her a bitch earlier on in the movie while he was on the phone with her. In an impeccable British accent, might I add. Oh no, whatever will he do? Right, so, remember when Jack murdered the cat? Yeah, so it turns out the cat is actually Tucker's cat, and understandably, he's very upset. Here's where things really heat up. So Jack stands up for himself and says some nice things about Kaylee, and Kaylee's like, oh wow, maybe he didn't call me a bitch over the phone. It must have been some random Asian guy. I'll get with him now. Boom. Jack's out of the doghouse and in the human house. And weirdly enough, Duncan ends up smashing the sex teacher that was set up in the first scene of the movie. Yeah, that first scene. Oh yeah, and by the way, the sex teacher also happens to be Tucker's sister, so very cool, I guess. And of course, Bobby Lee makes a quick cameo. He pulls up, says some vaguely racist shit, and gets knocked out. Again. Also, the Chocolate Rain guy is in the movie, too. So Jack gets with Kaylee, Duncan gets with the sex teacher, I forgot her name, and they're off to the airport, and they're gonna go home, and they go, you know what? They have this weird moment where they obviously set up for a sequel that's never gonna happen, because Jack goes, yeah, you know what? I think I might study abroad. And Duncan's like, oi. It's my acting experience right there. It's the movie. Everyone lives happily ever after, except for Tucker and the cat, and I guess Bobby Lee. So, yeah, wow. This definitely has been a movie. So hopefully I saved you guys the arduous task of watching this godforsaken movie, and maybe saved a couple brain cells that would have died along the way. So, you're welcome. Right, well, I'm just gonna say it. This movie sucks. It's so much worse than I could describe it, because it's not just a matter of the jokes being outdated. Like, even in 2016, the jokes were outdated. You know, there's like all this like racy, raunchy comedy that just doesn't work out and falls flat because the performances are so overacted and just you know, I didn't find much of it funny at all. It just made me overwhelmingly uncomfortable the entire time watching it. I don't know. It's just it's not a good movie. It really isn't. I guess if I had to find some good things about it, all the scenes with Angela from The Office were funny. So she's the shining light amongst the darkness that is this fucking movie. Oh my god, the two main characters have the charisma of a brick wall, and Mr. Lunchley himself he just isn't giving, and the only things that he does give are the creeps, quite frankly. But you know, ultimately, I think KSI is the real hero, because he's done the world a favor. He's saved the world from having to witness his god-awful acting, and instead decided to stick with something that he's actually good at, like scamming 10-year-olds and beefing with Minecraft YouTubers. Alright everyone, so that's been the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you could do the like and subscribe thing to help the channel grow, because it really does help. Every comment, and every like, and every subscription really helps, and maybe one day I could finally get this channel monetized and afford therapy, and oh boy will I need it after watching this movie, so. Alright, I'll see you in the next one.